Hey guys, what's up? Lone Berserker here, and well, you're probably confused as to what you're looking at, but that doesn't matter. This is going to be a video of me, with the best of my ability, attempting to do a recap on the 1 vs 1 campaign on DEI I had with one of my friends. Now, I'm just gonna say as to why I didn't upload any other parts besides the first video, and that was due to the fact that we had crashes literally after almost every battle. We couldn't avoid them, and it was just becoming the slow, dragging mess that really ruined the fun of the campaign. I mean, it was still fun. I enjoyed it, but I definitely will say before I start this, I could have done a lot better, but I really chickened out on most of my expansion. So first of all, this is just a screenshot, by the way. I spawned in as the Arverni and just screenshotted this part of the world because this is where it all took place. So I start off as Pontus. Now I don't know the border exactly, but it's something around this area like this. You know, it's a circle. You start off with MSI and that's it in a small army. I was over here. I guess I'll just use red for him. He was... Frig. Watch this. Doesn't it stretch to about here? Yeah. Like here. And then goes up through the mountains like this. Oh my god, I don't even know. He started over in Macedon. In my opinion, this is a fairly fair match. We both have a lot of troubles at the start. Oh my god, look at the way I... Don't talk about my drawing skills, by the way. So, we both start off in fairly difficult positions, attempting to, you know, build up our kingdoms when we're kind of in crappy positions, in my opinion. So, I guess I'll just talk about the early game and what we did at the start. So I will immediately erase these because I'm going to have to do more. So basically, at the start of the game, I start off over here in Pontus. I grabbed a few units. I recruited like 6 units, recruited some mercenaries, and took Trapezos immediately. So I don't know why there's two towns here, but I know it ends like here. And then borders up here with Colchis, so... yeah, I don't know why. I think this is phases. So I took that immediately. So that was good. While I was doing that, my opponent... no, I'll just talk about my side first. So I'll talk about my side, then his. So after I took Trapezos, I immediately took Sinope. Right after I just recruited a few more units. So I basically had something like this. I had no allies at this time. I had 3 towns that weren't making me enough money, although I was getting a lot of trade. And my armies were very poor at the time, and the reason that is because Pontus starts off historically accurate, and that is fun, but it's frustrating, because what I mean by historically accurate is the pikemen I get have no shields. I can only recruit a certain amount, and they have crap for armor. So I tend to stay away from recruiting them. They're good against barbarian tribes, but other than that, they suck. So, I tend to stay away from recruiting them. So, what that means basically is I have to wait for reforms. I get, I think, 2 different reforms. I get the Thureos reforms, and then, I don't know what the second one is, but it's where I'm able to recruit pikemen. Real pikemen, bronze shields, which is what my opponent, Massa Max, was getting from the start, which really is a difference in terms of the situation. So now I sat here for like, I think like 5 or 6 turns just waiting, flat out waiting and saving my money. And I was doing, the normal political stuff. I had a bunch of marriages, sending diplomats out, trying to get allies and stuff. And I did strike one very important ally on, and I will mark that using the I'll just use blue, I guess. And that was the Bosphorus. Now, I didn't declare war on them like Mithridates did historically, and I kind of regret that, and you'll see why. But I thought that, you know, having them as my ally would actually be better than putting me through ridiculous years of campaigning up in Scythia. Because it is really frustrating campaigning up there to take this crappy... Well, it's not crappy, it's freaking rich. That was the problem. They were able to recruit a lot more, and I was just kind of chicken out because my opponent was no noob. He was a good player, so... I think this is the... You know, you get the idea. I'm not going to do this like I know what I'm talking about, because I really don't. So... I have a Bosphorian ally who, at the end of the game, had taken all of Scythia and Sarmatia. So he was huge, which is what I wanted. I wanted him to get big. Now, I'm sitting down here. My opponent's doing what he's doing. I have the perfect opportunity to expand into Galatia and Cappadocia. The armies of Galatia and Cappadocia had been fighting against the Seleucids and, I think, the Egyptians. And so they were really run down. And eventually, I took advantage of that, and within like 3 or 4 turns, I kid you not when I say this, by the way, I take all of this. So, on paper, it looks like nothing, but to me, Galatia and Cappadocia was my most important province throughout this game, and it's because it had a walled settlement, it had good rich towns, and it produced an area where Massamax couldn't see, because he could send ships into Pontus and just check the land out, which he did do later on, but he couldn't do that here. And so if I held Bithynia, Galatia would stay untouched, and I can do whatever I want there, and that's the important of that. Next, I do something kind of funny but very stupid and controversial. I go south, and I take the town here. I can't remember its name. I think it's Side. I take that, and then, oh my god, it's so stupid, it was hilarious when we were playing. I take Cyprus from Egypt, and then eventually I go on to take, whatever here is, this town, but I lose it almost immediately after. But I do, for the rest of the campaign, keep Cyprus. And that's important too, because Cyprus was rich, it had glass, something friggin' apparently that's really hard to make. So I had glass from Cyprus, which is really important, and I am just going to fill this in because it's killing my OCD. So, looking on paper, my kingdom's not too bad, right? I mean, I got a lot of towns, I got a lot of wealth, but the towns I had weren't exactly what I wanted. And what I mean by that is Pergamon, this right here is what I freaking wanted. But Pergamon was allied with the Seleucid Empire. So was I, and so was Massamax. I attack Pergamon, I get attacked by the Seleucids. And Massamax could use that as an excuse to declare war on me. So the entire game, Pergamon just stays neutral. And it just keeps the rest of Asia, which really, in the end, did screw me over. Because Pergamon was walled, and it produced troops that I couldn't get back in Pontus, but I could get in Galatia. Now, eventually, I move on Bithynia, and I end up taking that. So now, look at my empire. It's pretty good. I got 2 walled towns on the frontier, and really, it's just time will tell now, is sort of the thing. Now, while I did that, while that was done, I had my second crappier army doing something which was freaking hilarious. So, Kartli, the faction up here, had pushed south into this region and this region, and they were pretty damaged, honestly. So I was like, all right, let's go get some gold. And I literally hop over into Armenia and grab these 2 settlements, and then I liberate this one for a border. So this is my empire, basically, at this time, and looking at it, it's so stupid. But I was getting a lot of wealth because of the trade from Cyprus and the gold from Armenia. But I really wish I didn't allow the Bosphorus to survive, because what they did was useful, but it screwed my expansion down. And what they did is they liberated this entire freaking Caucasian mountain area after I defeated Kartli. So I'm stuck, literally, because I declare war over here, I get the Seleucids in. I go north, I have to fight with the Bosphorus. which by this time owned all of Scythia, like I said. They were huge this entire campaign. So really, I screwed myself. Literally, where do I go now? And now that also begs the question, like you might be saying, why not go to Thrace? Well, I'll tell you why. And that is when we're going to hop over to the western side of the world. So, like I said, Massamax starts off in... Oh god, what is the town? Is it Pella? No, it's not Pella. Oh my god. Well, this town here. Is it Thessalon? No, never mind. He starts off there, and he rushes Hellas. And so his empire eventually, very quickly, by the way, he did this way faster than I did mine. He owns this. And this is a lot of good territory because Athens is walled, Sparta is good. So he's got all this territory here. I'm trying to kind of, you know what, never mind. Look at my epic drawing skills. Oh my god, 10 out of 10. So eventually he expands it to this. Now, this is actually pretty historical too. He's rich. He's got a nice little kingdom there. But what he does was so annoying and frustrating because it screws me over later. I'm going to use this color for it. He freaking liberates. Oh god. He liberates all of Thrace. So Thrace grows. I don't even know their full extent, but I know they eventually reach to Italy. He liberates all of freaking Thrace. And has this awesome, like, alliance of barbarians behind his empire, backing him up in our future wars. I excuse the noise in the background, that's my dog. So, this isn't his height, by the way, I'm not done yet. So eventually, he does fight Rome, he defeats them, he used great tactics to defeat Rome, by the way. I actually really liked his way of doing it. Eventually, he gets, from what I remember, all of Magna Graecia. And what was it else? Was it Sicily? I'm gonna say Sicily, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll just do this. I don't know if he took over Sicily. He could have. It's possible that he took over Sicily. I think he did. I want to say that he did because... Well, why wouldn't he, honestly? So, yeah, I think he took over Sicily. So, looking at our empires and our allies, really, who the heck's gonna vote for me? I mean, my land is nothing compared to his. So now, we get to our war. I build up these armies. They're pretty freaking good, by the way. I actually liked them really nice. I think they were really good. So, I build up these armies. I'm prepared to go to war. But how do I do it? He has a superior fleet. He has superior armies. His generals are gold experienced with frickin' a bunch of abilities. Mine are nothing compared to his because mine have never actually fought real battles, quote unquote. I've just been fighting garrison armies and small armies because everyone I took over was from opportunism, not actually, you know, attacking them physically, with fighting one-on-one against their armies. So, basically, if I directly attack him, Seleucids and all his Thracian and barbarian allies get involved. But, if I attack his Thracian allies, nobody but him will get involved. So that's what I do. I attack the Thracian allies, and I've got 2 full stacks on the border. And these armies kick frickin' butt. That's all I'm going to say. So basically, my mission here at the start of the war was to hit him so hard that he won't be able to recover from it. Because that's how I had to win this war. I had to have a knockout blow early on. And after that, I was going to fall back into Pontus and lock it down. So I had to get the knockout blow early on. And I attack Thrace. I defeat the Thracian armies. I'm just gonna, I guess do this. This is what I eventually did take over and liberated. I took over 3 or 4 towns in Thrace. Thrace was mine. But I had not fought one single Macedonian army. And that was because they were in Italy. They were stuck there. And that, in my opinion, was good for me, because now I could get back to Pontus and make him, you know, struggle against my crappy allies' armies for a little bit. However, my opponent comes back with 2 armies that he just threw together in Macedon. He knew he had to stop my rampage, because I was tearing him apart at this point, honestly. So I'll just get rid of these. Now, it's the first battle of the war. We're on this field and we're tense, because we know this battle is going to make or break the campaign. We think it's going to make or break the campaign. There was a hill on the from what I remember, there was a hill on the battlefield. I had the cav advantage. So, I'm trying to remember, guys. There's a hill on the battlefield. I got the cav. I have an artillery piece and a pretty formidable army, and he has a good army too. I storm up the hill with my cavalry, knowing that even if he was up there, I would win the cav fight. So we storm up, we both clash, and I get the first blow by taking out 2 cavalry units. This was perfect for me, by the way. So I had a good start to the battle. I just had to follow it up and beat his army. And I had a plan for this specifically. I had my armies formed up so they would, it was a 2 versus 2, by the way, like 2 armies against 2 armies. So I had nothing in the center but some pikemen. They were just to stand there and hold him back. On the wings, I overloaded the wings completely. So the battle starts. We start off with a skirmish and cav fight. I push his cavalry back, and then follow up with this storming of infantry, like an overloading amount of infantry just come flying over the flanks. And he was caught off guard because he thought, you know, I was going to go head on and there'd be some minor skirmishing on the flanks. But this is sort of like one of my well-known tactics that I use, is attacking my enemy's flanks. It's my favorite, actually. So I get by his flanks and I surround and annihilate this guy's army. And I was happy because I had achieved my goal. I took out Thrace, I took out most of his Thracian allies, and I had defeated his king and his heir in battle. And I think it was my king and another random general that I had. So, his king and heir don't actually die. What was funny is they retreated behind a river, and and my crappy barbarian allies end up killing his heir and king. How could I couldn't have done anything better in my opinion. So that was the first battle. I take my time to get out of there. I go back and hop over the Thracian Bosphorus into Nicomedia. I have 3 full stacks. 2 are good, 1 is complete crap. He's just there to reinforce. And I wait. And I'm just sitting there waiting. And all of a sudden, I see 3 armies coming out of the fog of war, out of Macedon. These freaking armies, you guys, had Apulian heavy infantry, pikemen, Thracian infantry, great cavalry, and amazing skirmishers. And honestly, at that point, I should have just given up, because I'm just delaying the inevitable. These armies had never been beaten before, except for the one I scored on him, but that wasn't his main armies. He brings these armies up, and I'm debating. At this point, I am debating. I'm like, alright, do I hold Bithynia? Do I give up Nicomedia? Do I go back over the Thracian Bosphorus? Or, you know, kind of what do I do here? What am I going to try and do? My first thought was, let's lay an ambush. So I have an ambush here. He discovers it, and I do save my army, but it was close. So he knew I had an ambush there. I fall back into Bithynia. So now I make my stand outside of Nicomedia right here. It's a 2 versus 2, and I have the video on YouTube. This was awesome. This was a fun battle, and we both damaged each other a severe amount, but my opponent figured out my one tactic of attacking the wings. And when he figured that out, I did break through one side, but on the other, he beat me. And in the middle, it was no competition. His pikemen were better. So, basically, he just beat my one flank, reinforced the other, and smashed through the center and surrounded me, from what I remember. You can go watch the video. It's called Huge DEI Battle or something like that. it was fun, but I will admit, I screwed up because I didn't think my opponent was gonna realize that I was gonna use the same tactic again. So I do lose the first real major battle. Like I did win that one battle, which is really good. So after that, I got one crappy army and two very leftover type of armies. And now I have to figure out what I'm gonna do. Do I hold Bithynia or do I leave it? I eventually decide, in my opinion, which was probably a mistake, but I decide to abandon Nicomedia and let my opponent take it. He takes it pretty easily. There was just a crappy garrison in it. That's it. I lose Bithynia. I would never take Bithynia back, by the way. I'll just try and go over my line here just so you guys see. So now it's like, really, what the heck do I do? He's got better armies than me. They're much better than my units. How can I come out of this? That looks like a finger, a hand giving a thumbs up. So, how am I going to come out of this? I was thinking in my head, I've got to do what I did before. I have to replicate a big battle and win. Or I can win on the seaside and, you know, cut him off from getting reinforcements. And that's what I decided to do. I have a huge fleet, and this was freaking hilarious. Down in Cide, I had formed a fleet, and these were all mercenary ships. These were freaking expensive. And I send them in, and they just do some basic raiding in this area, and then they get his fleet, I think, here, around this area, and I am decisively defeated. I frigged the battle up, to say the least. He wins in the sea, so now he's uncontested in the waters, and uncontested on land. How do I get out of this? Well, there was some good news. My Chimerian allies declared war on him, but were miles into Scythia and never gonna go and end up showing up. There was some little minor sea actions. I had built some raiding fleets. I had some coming down here and others coming back from Trapezos into the ocean, Black Sea, and, you know, raiding his Thracian allies and stuff like that. But nothing ever from my side would be important again from on the sea. All right, so my sea power has been neutered. My armies are crap. How do I win this? I figured that I can't lose Galatia and Cappadocia. This would be my stand. I take a stand in Ancyra. I let him take that one outer lying settlement because it was actually pretty crappy. It was this one right here. I don't remember the name. I think it's Pesenius or something like that. He takes that, and now I'm prepared. I've got a full stack. Wait, no. I didn't defend the settlement yet. I had 3 armies again. They were crap, though. They were complete garbage. They had chariots in them, which, now that I'm really realizing it, paying almost 600 gold per turn for chariots was absolutely stupid, and I should have replaced it for artillery, like my opponent had. He had brought artillery like I did in the first battle. So, I'm sitting here, and I have to do something. I have to scare him or do something. So I lay an ambush. He freaking discovered it. I was so mad. That was my chance right there to, you know, do some small damage to him. It wasn't supposed to win. It was just supposed to, you know, put him on edge. So I get ready for my stand in Galatia. I've got 3 armies. Now he attacks all 3 of these armies with just 2 of his. That's the quality difference right there. So we battle it out. I line my army up of just complete garbage. And my plan was just to go. Like, charge him and not stop. And that's what I did. And I'm running across this field. He's pounding me with artillery. My chariots hit the left of his army. They get obliterated from javelins. I followed up with cavalry charges all across, combined with infantry. And I break through the left. He breaks through the right. You know, we kind of twisted our armies. And I'm getting ready to encircle his infantry. And I see all this cavalry just coming towards my flank. And I know at that point that I lost. I end up losing my general. Mithridates had already died. I think he died in Bithynia. Maybe not. He may have died... I can't remember. He might have died here, actually. One of these battles he died. He ends up dying. I decisively lose the battle. I had inflicted some casualties, and that's really all I had to do. because I get the remnants of it together, and I hold in Ankara. It ends up being a full stack and a full garrison. I basically said to myself, if as soon as I lose Ankara, I lose this campaign. Because that was the one city that had walls, and one city that allowed me to recruit really good troops. So I prepare to make my stand, and the siege, to say the least, I wish I recorded it, and I wish I had the replay. My friend might, and if he does, I will post it. But it was an epic siege. We had used ridiculous tactics on each other. I burned barricades and slowed him down. I was using every possible tool I could to keep him pinned. And he had artillery too, by the way. He tried everything. And in the end, I hold Ankara. He loses almost an entire army. And I was like cheering because this was my first real success since I lost Bithynia. So, with that done, I was feeling confident again. That was until he freaking comes back with another army and tanks Ankara. Eventually, all of Galatia and Cappadocia falls. Same with today. I'll just do this. So now I'm left with this. Really, what do I do, guys? I decided that I had one last shot, and I eventually just gave up. I was building an army of Persians and Armenians back here. I thought it was pretty funny. And I was going to come in and, you know, make this big heroic last stand. I decided not to waste our time. I did have one full stack, but I decided to roleplay a little bit and say, since we, you know, like, blah, 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 we lost Galatia and Cappadocia, we no longer think victory is possible, we desert our kingdom. The entire stack goes to the Chimeria and gets disbanded. I eventually surrender. I decide, you know what, I'm done. I'm not fighting this. I give my opponent the victory screen. He takes my capital, blah, blah, blah. I really have, ever since the end of this campaign, I have violently criticized myself for how stupid I was during this campaign. Let's just erase all the drawings for a second, and let's build up what I wanted my kingdom to look like. This was what I was hoping my kingdom would end up looking like before he got to me. I wanted to ally with Armenia, and I basically, I'm not even kidding when I say this, I wanted to rebuild the Pontic Empire and have it stretch like this. I'm not even gonna, like, do it precisely, but... So, this is what I eventually wanted my empire to look like. And I could have done it, but I chickened out of fighting the Bosporus. And I think I could have beat them. I just wasn't 100% sure, and when going up against with an opponent who knew what he was doing, I was not going to risk it. However, watching my opponent freaking knock Rome out of the sea like it was nothing, at that point I realized that I probably lost this campaign. And the only possible way I could win is by delivering the knockout blow. And I did. I achieved my goal. My one campaign was successful. The one real campaign, I guess you could say, was successful. I killed his general. His general in air died. I took over the majority of Thrace. All was good until his allies came marching up. Until he came marching up with his allies. So, really, guys, when I lost the sea power and lost Bithynia, I knew that I was done. I was done for. I couldn't win it. I feel like really what I did was just me being a coward and chickening out of really challenging myself by taking the Bosporus. Maybe we'll do another one. I don't know. I don't really have time. And this one really demoralized me in terms of playing, because the entire time we played, it crashed almost every hour, 30 minutes, 40. It just continuously crashed, and it's so frustrating when you fight a huge battle. 10,000 troops are on the field, and it crashes right at the end. I don't understand it. I don't know why. It's frustrating, to say the least. So, again, like I said, maybe we'll do another one. Maybe, like, in the future. I don't know. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But I was just very angry with how I played. I was stupid. I made so many mistakes. My missions, my campaigns, didn't end very well, except for the first one. Like my C1, when I came from down here and decided to attack his fleet, all my ships were mercenaries. I was fighting up against a veteran fleet that had never lost, so you can, you know, see it how you want there. Really, that's all, guys. And another thing I guess I could add is I was really hoping for the Bosphorus to back me up immediately and invade northernly, but they don't do that, and I was really, really frustrated because that was my one shot at winning this. So that's basically all. It was a fun campaign. Like I said, I enjoyed it. So Massa Max, I will be back.